the directness is really something, or maybe sometimes rudeness from Dutch people is really something that's like a stereotype. American style, I guess, like being a bit fake nice or something. It's not fake nice, but yeah. So I'm from Doetinchem, which is from like basically the farmers part. It's really you get you're a farmer, there's stuff like this. I always want to do it right the first time.
Perfect.
And in the beginning, it wasn't really working. Making people happy with food, because when you're talking to just B2C markets, you're not talking to customers really. You're out of the loop, I think, a bit. I'm 21 and I'm living with them. It can be just too much. Best things.
Yeah.
I can also definitely think of some negatives, to be honest. If you're already negative on yourself, it's going to be reflected in how you communicate with other people, which I definitely think is a big part.
How successful you have been in applying those skills, let's say?
I think I'm definitely better at it. Like, I've not lived on my own before, so I just came out of the parents' house and started living on my own here, just having all sorts of new experiences. In-person meetings, all just sitting in a lecture hall, just listening. And after half a year, I quit.
Oh, you quit?
Okay. At some point, what I really liked is like customer interaction and stuff. So I did a marketing and sales internship. And in the beginning, it was mostly marketing, just working on a website, and it was really demotivating for me. But at some point, we started going to fairs and stuff like this, really talking to people, and I was getting a bit more out of my shell.
Yeah.
Like, it was still like socially, it's really weird to go from students, people your age, to like working in teams with only moms, which basically with young kids who are like 10, 15 years older than me. And it's really difficult to connect. And I think what really helped me was just finding people in the company who are more like my age, who have the same experiences or are like a bit less experienced in life.
All right, Danek, welcome to the Swades Podcast.
Thank you, Jay, for having me in. And,
how are you doing today?
I'm good. Early in the morning for me. I'm a student. No, but very good. I think I've had a nice weekend so far. It's just finishing my last courses, right?
Yeah.
And
perfect.
Just studying.
So I didn't keep you busy for the weekend?
No.
Because you wanted to come up for the podcast.
No, I think it's very nice that you invited me. And I normally would have been just in bed for now, so or having breakfast. So it's just a little more quick pace, which it's good. I think just getting my day started earlier.
Perfect. How have you been doing so far? How are you feeling, for example, being in Finland?
Well, in the beginning, I was like really worried about just socially anything. Just how would it be? Like I've not lived on my own before, so I just came out of the parents' house and started living on my own here, just having all sorts of new experiences. And in the beginning, I was really glad to have a classmate of mine from the Netherlands here, so we could just speak about anything, like really openly, about having any worries about like how it's going, because it was also really good for her, for example, because she was sick in the beginning. To have someone there. And like after a few weeks, I was really glad to get to know so many people here who are. Everyone is really eager to get to know some people. And like after those few weeks, it was just you could text anyone, talk to anyone, and they would also be down to do anything. And I think it was a really nice experience so far.
Good to know that. To know that. Danek, every student have their own journey, right? How do you see your journey? How has been your journey as a student in Netherlands and until today, for example?
Well, when I started like going into university, there's also like the University of Applied Sciences university. Okay. So first I did university.
Which university you're talking about?
Sorry?
Which university you're talking about?
Radboud University in Nijmegen. And I basically did half a year there, and it was just no, how do I say it, like in-person meetings, all just sitting in a lecture hall, just listening. And after half a year, I quit.
Oh, you quit?
I stopped with the university, and then I just did a job for like half a year, just in like a warehouse, or not really in a store, where I just did like in the back stuff. And then I started doing food and business on the University of Applied Sciences, which it was way better for me. It was like more practical. I really enjoyed like baking and stuff. So it was just something to combine, I guess. I wanted to do something business related, but it was really good to have something field specific, and just combining it with a hobby I had. So really, we're also in the kitchen a lot, for example, in the studies, which it's really good, and I really like it, and I'm really glad I chose for these studies. And like the first 2 years, it was really easy for me.
Okay, that's nice to know.
Yeah, I think it just fit right, and like academically, I think I learned quite easily and stuff. So I didn't really have any issues. It was really smooth sailing.
Wow.
And and then this year I did my internship in the first semester, and now I'm here.
Okay, you did your internship
Finland
already?
Yeah, I have 2 internships.
You have done 2 internships already?
No, I've done one, and I will do one from February as well.
From the February start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How was your first internship? Tell me something about that.
Yeah, it was really hard for me. Like, I told you, like I'm from the east of the Netherlands, which is more like village, a bit more rural, a bit more communal.
Okay.
And I went to Amsterdam, and it's really fast-paced, everything, and it just it was, especially in the beginning, it was just too much for me, and I was having a really hard time, like staying up to pace or really finding motivation to go and stuff like this. But at some point, what I really liked is like customer interaction and stuff. So I did a marketing and sales internship. And in the beginning, it was mostly marketing, just working on a website, and it was really demotivating for me. But we started going to fairs and stuff like this, really talking to people, and I was getting a bit more out of my shell.
Yeah.
Like, it was still like socially, it's really weird to go from students, people your age, to like working in teams with only moms, which basically with young kids who are like 10, 15 years older than me. And it's really difficult to connect. And I think what really helped me was just finding people in the company who are more like my age, who have the same experiences or are like a bit less experienced in life. It was just easier to talk to. And also like, cause like on the fairs you see like the other students from your university who are also doing the same internship, or not the same internships, but like-minded internships. Yeah. And it's good to really connect again and see what you're doing it for.
So you are kind of a more socially oriented personality?
Not always.
Okay. Okay.
I definitely like to be alone as well, but with the right people, I can spend so much time with them, and it's not draining. Like my battery, I'm feeling energetic. But and with my internship, I was really having a hard time because I was so tired of just having to understand people. Just really connecting with them was really hard for me. And I had a really big contrast here, because here it's so easy to connect to people. Just talking about your culture is always a good starting point for anything. Always.
But I think when you talk about the culture, now I have one more question for you. Like, okay, you come from Netherlands, right? And from east of Netherlands, right? Tell me something about your culture. I mean, because many of the foreign tourists or many of the foreigners might know major cities, would like to come to the Amsterdam and big cities. But how is the culture in Netherlands?
Yeah. So I'm from Doetinchem, which is from like basically the farmers part. It's really, you get, you're a farmer, you know, this stuff like this is like a little bit of fun. And I think the directness is really something, or maybe sometimes rudeness from Dutch people is really something that's like a stereotype. And I think it's much less where I'm from. It's really a bit more like American style, I guess.
Okay.
Like being a bit fake nice or something. It's not fake nice, but
Okay.
you know what? It's just giving a more like closer feel. Like you would in bigger cities, you wouldn't just say hi to people you see on the street or something, or like having a little conversation. People are too busy for that.
And
I think it's where I'm from, or where my parents are from. They're from the south, Eindhoven, or like closer there. Even though that's a big city, the culture is like, at least to me, it's drastically different from Amsterdam, Rotterdam.
Being in that part of the culture, do you miss that?
Sometimes I think it can be very like, if you're with, as I said, like it really depends on the people, right? Because if you're with people who you just don't really connect with, it feels really forced, like having a conversation with them about like just small talk, anything. It's just a bit too much sometimes. And I can definitely have it with my parents or something, that I'm just really tired of them, because it also makes sense. Like I'm 21 and I'm living with them. It can be just too much.
Okay, so you really want to go move out?
I'm really planning on moving out as well. Yeah. And no, I think I miss it, but just being with people my age here, I do prefer.
Okay.
And when I will be back, it will also be like really getting like acclimatizing. I think that's the right word, to that stuff again. Like not having people around so you can just talk to, relate to over anything.
Culture shapes you, when you are in a particular place, you are grown there, you make friends, you have a society around you. In some way or other way, that culture or that societies also, inspire your personality. You grow with certain personality.
Yeah.
What are the three best things that you think that has come into your personality being from that part of the
best things?
Yeah.
I can also definitely think of some negatives, but, to be honest. But the best things, I think directness is still there. The stereotype is there for a reason, and it's good to be like really open to what people say to you, really be able to change. I think that's, at least for me, it's something that's really positive. I'm really easy, I'm really flexible to stuff I'm bad at, and I can't recognize myself. And I think that's really a positive quality, because I can just adapt to anything, like also for working, for even for hobbies. Like if someone has like advice, and I think you're like competent enough to give me the advice, which is also important.
Okay.
Then it's easy for me to convert that into like actual behavior. What else? Positive qualities. I think I don't know. Like, what could you give me an examples of what you think? Like,
for example, certain cultures are more helping each other. For example, as you said that you're from a town which is not bigger town, so in such places you are living in a communities and helping each other, for example, or standing for for yourself, for example, or for your other friends. Such kind of things emerge. So of course these are some examples. I think what you just said is like really just more thinking about other people, like being empathetic with other people, just considering even though they themselves might not be aware that they
need help, or that you can still offer it to them, and also like not just like just helping an old person like with groceries or something. But even like emotionally or something. That's I think it might be more indirectly where I'm from in the Netherlands. You would still be like, you can be very direct, like you're feeling sad. We need to do something about it. But it's also like just doing small things for them, recognizing it.
Yeah.
I think I've really improved in that over the years as well, because I was quite, I would say, like anxious and stuff to do stuff like that, even like helping other, even if it's like positive experience for other people.
Yep.
I was really scared it would be received negatively, but I think the last few years I've really been shown that there's nothing you can really do wrong when trying, at least.
Yeah, of course. I mean, if we think about what is the interpretation of our communication regarding the other person, I think that would be the most difficult thing to think about.
Yeah, I think
of course, you cannot judge every personality what they are going to think about you, being nice or being a certain way. And of course, we are coming from different cultures, so I have a different way of putting on the things. So I think it's being a bit harsh on you.
Yeah,
on oneself.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it can be like, if you're already negative on yourself, it's going to be reflected in how you communicate with other people, which I definitely think is a big part. Like, if someone is like not really, is also a bit shy maybe, and you're speaking to them enthusiastically, they might open up instead of like staying that way if you're mirroring how they behave.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's, I think, something I've really gotten to know better.
Okay, good to know that.
Yeah.
So moving to new country or new culture, takes a lot of energy. You are ending up to a place where you don't know much of the people, the cultural language, especially the weather.
That's familiar.
Kind of familiar. Okay. How do you manage? How did you manage? What were the challenges that you faced during?
I was so unprepared going in here, but I think it was not bad because I wasn't stressing too much about it. Of course, as I said, when I was here, I was a bit worried how I would fare, if I would do well, if I would be just completely depressed the entirety for my stay here. But in the end, I think I was just really open into it. I was really open to any new experience, which I was also thinking to myself. For example, the podcast, you just texted me and I was like, of course, it's something new to, maybe it will be nice, maybe it won't, but I want to experience it. And I think it will be nice. I hope it will be nice. So if I go into it with that, it will probably be good. And that's how I manage with everything. I think.
But what were the challenges that you faced, for example? Do you think like it's a challenge, or do you think it's a learning process, for example? What was the difficult aspect that you remember, maybe?
Just living with people in general, I think was, or like living not with people you've already lived with, who are like, have taken care of you before, like my parents. Because, for example, I might be sometimes a bit inconsiderate with like leaving the kitchen a bit dirty. That's like the number one thing I think I had. And if I was with Dutch people, people would have said something from day one.
Okay.
But now, if in my head, it's like if they don't say anything that's bothering them, then there's nothing bothering them. But obviously there was, and like I spoke to them, and then it was fine. And I think I had a really good relation. I have a really good relationship with my roommates, just because like we're all a bit like-minded, and it's just it's really good. We don't expect too much of each other. Right. And I think yeah, that's also really positive. Like people don't really have expectations of you, and that's really different.
Like when you talk about the Dutch culture, does that mean that in Dutch culture you have to express what you think? Like you're very expressive. You say this is right, this is wrong.
It's not necessarily this is right, this is wrong. It's just when something is on your heart, on your mind, you should speak about it, because if you don't, people assume there's nothing. They will.
Okay.
And I think that's also what I said, right? It's more I've gotten better at recognizing when people have something wrong and they're not saying it, which obviously, like, even in Dutch culture, it's still going to be a problem that people don't say what they feel like, or if they're sad or anything. But here I've needed that more, I think. And then in the Netherlands, because people would just say something is wrong, and sometimes it can be a bit much. That's definitely a thing. Like, I think parents are always gonna be more judgy about you, and but just in general, it's when people have an issue with you, have an issue about something you're doing, have an issue they themselves, just something about themselves, they will just say it, especially when it's something that's not like it can be spoken about. It's not something you have to be really vulnerable about. It's you just don't want to build the resentment, I think.
Perfect. Yeah, understandable. How about languages? How many languages you speak, by the way, Danek?
Well, like English and Dutch, I'm really fluent in. German, I understand everything. Speaking, still a bit. I speak a lot to an Austrian girl now, so it's most of the time it's in English. Sometimes she tries to learn Dutch, and I do her dialect really sometimes, and I try to do some German in between. But it gets really, because I've definitely had days where I've just heard and spoken only German. Yeah. Where I'm just talking to German people, like my German roommate, and then Austrian and other German people, exchange students. And it's really exhausting.
Yeah.
And I've also said to them, like, I will just go now because I'm really tired of speaking German. And I was also, the first time I had I was a bit issues. I didn't know why I was feeling like a bit like frustrated.
Yep.
And I recognized, like, it's just too much thinking about everything I hear, everything I have to say is because I'm not fluent. It's not just a stream of thoughts. It's just bits and pieces. I've struggled with that, but I've really also improved, I think. And that was definitely a goal I had, like just improving other languages. I was planning on doing more Finnish, I guess, but
that's what I wanted to ask you. How about the Finnish language? How do you feel about that?
I've taken a course, but to be honest, like, I didn't need the ECTs. I just did it because I wanted to learn a bit. But because I was also speaking a lot of German, also English, obviously it's a bit different than speaking Dutch. Just trying to listen to some French. It was just, Finnish was a bit too much. So obviously, like, on the way you learn things, you just use expressions like just I like the key touch, just a long thank you. It feels
but that particular word has a lot of
exactly, yeah. You use a few words a lot of times, like the noni or so. I some words I really like, so I will keep them in my vocabulary. But to be honest, it's just, I like learning languages, but the problem with Finnish is it's really hard to connect to something. I can't connect into any language, whereas in Dutch or in English, I can connect them to German, and in German I can connect to Dutch, and then English also to French, and then French to Spanish, you know?
Yeah.
It has some sort of resemblance which I'm missing.
Yes. Yeah. Understandable. Danek is academic career, the academic life that is ahead of you.
Yeah.
There would be something that's inspiring that you are trying to achieve, What is the goal that you're aiming to?
Would you mean about really learning something or just like achieving a certain milestone?
For example, you are having an educational career, right? And you choose it. So you want to become something,
Yeah.
So what is that position, or let's say any idea about business, for example, that you are trying to achieve after completion of your degree?
Well, I'm definitely looking into like having my own business as well.
Okay.
But there's also like, I want to experience some different kinds of jobs, which like the problem I'm really having now is that I need an educational background or like experience in certain fields. While I want to experience like very broad. So I've had some marketing, sales, but I'm definitely looking more into like also event management or just sales, really specialized in more B2C instead of, because I did B2B.
Yeah.
And then there's also, because food and business, it's not only business, there's also like an entire food developing side, which we're doing like a project as well for a company, really big, entire semester. We're developing like the entire product, customer journey, everything in the semester with a group for the company. We're getting a lot of like insights, which I really like. We can do a lot of projects with businesses in our studies. So I'm really like looking forward to having at least those experiences, having my next internship, because I really want to do that more food related instead of business sales.
Does that has to do with something with your business idea?
Yeah, well, I've not really made it concrete yet because there's just too many things I'm interested in. And it kind of does, because I'm also a bit like I used to work at I'm not sure how to say it, but like a supermarket for businesses. I like a warehouse more type of thing. And there was also someone working there who's like a wine. He had really a lot of knowledge about it, and he was also doing like a side business where he did food quality checks. He worked as a chef. He like made his own wine blog about it for the company we worked at.
Okay.
And for me, that's also really interesting, like being able to do those multitudes of things at the same time. So I'm like, I also heard a lot about like catering. It was really where I did my internship. There was also a guy who did catering before he started working there in his own company, and he still had the company. And I also had like my driving instructor was also having a catering company. So I learned a lot about it.
Okay. During your internship.
Yeah, during my internship, during the driving lessons. And I was really interested in it. And I think it's just having to decide about what I'm really, because I also like baking, for example. So,
you told me something about baking,
Yeah, so like bakery is also still like possibly in the plans.
Could be. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but
how often you do baking, by the way? Let's say how much pro you are into this field.
Well, it's really for fun. But I just, as soon as the one thing I've made is like finished, the next day I'll be like, I want to make this and this, and I'll see like on social media, I'll see these things, and I'm like, I really want to make this, and the problem is I never want to make the same thing, so I'm really looking forward to the next thing to make. And then like prior knowledge is also like handy, but I'm never like how to say it, perfectionizing the same thing. I'm always looking forward to the next thing to do, which I think would maybe improve my skills, but like it improves my skills in different ways, I suppose.
How successful you have been in applying those skills, let's say.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely better at it. Like,
very good.
Just
good
getting,
to know that. Yeah,
getting a feel for it is important, because
when you feel like you're doing something very nice, very good, and you are satisfied, I think there's some scope there.
Yeah. The problem is I'm never perfectionizing, but I'm very perfectionistic. So I also always want to do it right the first time.
Perfect.
And in the beginning, it wasn't really working, but now I'm like getting a bit more satisfied, like with my progress, and also, I think
I'm trying to connect the puzzles now. So the catering comes now in, and then the baking comes now in, and the catering and baking. Somewhere some logistics to connect.
Yeah, I'm wondering where it's like, because I was telling you the sales, I want to explore that more. I think that's really with the catering where that can come in. But catering, bakery, I think it's a bit separate. Because I think catering comes more from like the talking to people with the business experience. Baking is more like a passion or a hobby. But like cooking in general, I've made a few Dutch dishes here as well.
Really?
Yeah.
And I was not informed.
I've shared it around like the apartment complex, and have people have like the tradition, like I'm frying stuff. My roommate wasn't too happy with me. No, but I've shared with them, and they were a bit more happy. So I think like what brings it all together is making like people happy with food. It's just
I think it's the most important thing.
Yeah, and I think with what I've experienced in business to business sales, it's really about the relationship. Really making people happy with food, because when you're talking to just B2C markets, you're not talking to customers really. You're out of the loop, I think, a bit.
Yeah.
And when you're working with businesses, you really get like for example, we worked with butter and with creams in my internship.
Yeah,
I'm really like rambling all over the place now, but I'm trying to connect it all.
Please do so. Yes. I think so. We are going there. Some direction. Yes.
And like it's really nice to have people talk about it, like talk about the products. I'm learning a lot in my internship. Like I don't know that much about the products. I've not used a lot of them. I'm talking to like chefs within the company, outside of the company. People were buying it. People were more on the selling side of it, the chefs. And it's really interesting because, for example, the chef in the company will make, I remember one time we had like cheese, plant cheese thing. And he was making a pizza with it, and it was just bringing it to the office, and we could taste it. And he was telling about like what his issues were with it, and I was like really intrigued, because I'm into cooking, and it's a lot of similarities with product properties, and I can really get into how those properties can work on different levels, because when you're making pancakes, for example, you can change anything for eggs, you can change anything for like the butter, and see how it works in other products makes you think, now I have an idea what I can use for my next, how I can change something.
Perfect recipe for a particular place or people. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's also like
good to know
for
that.
race people, like you're really considering that, because in the Netherlands you also have like people from Suriname or from Indonesia. They will eat more unhealthy because, for example, their income might be a bit lower, and you're looking for like alternatives to ingredients in their recipes, because they're eating much different there. Yeah,
I think that's a very positive thought.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of a mission, perhaps. That how can one enhance the healthy diet for the people who are not such affordable, or maybe certain education that is required, how to avoid those unhealthy food.
Just educating them and providing alternatives, right? And I think that's also a beautiful like business proposition, like being able to even provide like full products, like full meals, or just providing them with the information, the things they need to improve what they have right now.
Yeah, that's amazing. You are not purely from the food sciences business, but I think your passion is kind of reflecting in every conversation here.
Yeah, I hope so.
Good to know that you have so much understanding behind that, and you are so much careful when it comes to the food sciences. Or
I said, like, I didn't like the theoretical stuff from the university. I really liked having the more specific thing with food and business, like having the food in there, just having a focus on it. And I think the practical side is what really got me in there, and it's what's really keeping me there. And I'm really, I was surprised like how much I want to learn, especially when speaking to chefs, and like talking to people is what's most important there.
Very good. And whenever you talk to certain people or chef, for example, you must have some kind of a knowledge in order to do the conversation, in that. Exactly. And I think that's something you have that. So that's a very plus point.
And you have to be willing to ask questions. I think very important. I learned that a lot in my internship as well. I have to be willing to ask a lot of questions, like not be scared to be seen as dumb or anything like that. Just ask the questions, be dumb.
Be the layman, for example, and that's the best thing that we can do, for example, to learn something.
Yeah.
And I think that's something, I think this is your great area or topic you would like to do, and why not?
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe some business ideas coming from there.
I'm always getting inspired, I think.
Perfect. This particular conversation is interesting, Danek, and I need to understand that you have been getting education in the Netherlands, and then you have a great time here, How is the education different in Netherlands and in Finland? How would you position it?
I don't... in the beginning, I was like really... I don't want to bash like the Finnish education system, but I was just... I don't know if it's an English expression, but like 2 fingers in the nose. I didn't have to. It was easy. And now coming to the end, it's obviously a bit more work, but like with the projects, they're a bit more hands-on. Or that's not really like with the project, they feel more hands-on than the beginning of the education here.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like less. But there's some things like, for example, I really like the business simulation course, which was more like specific knowledge about doing certain things. Like sometimes in the Netherlands, I could feel like it can be a lot. It can be really broad. It can be like really useless knowledge. And I think sometimes, most of the time here, I think it's useful knowledge, even when it can definitely be more intensive, more deeper. That's what I've missed a bit. Like also the courses, just the professors talking quite a lot, and it's not always engaging.
Okay.
Because for example, I wouldn't want to mention like a specific course maybe, but
generally.
I've definitely had courses where I'm like, this is just too much talking. We need to like work on something to really
apply it.
Apply the knowledge, or just get to know more by researching ourselves instead of just hearing one person speak about their own experiences.
I think that's the best thing. That's a very, very good opinion. How is it in the Netherlands? Do you recall any best example? Let's say.
I think if we're having like long lectures, like actual lecture hours, it's I feel like it's 4 times more stuff I'm having to learn. And sometimes it can also be too much, which I think there's obviously a nice balance to be found in there. But we're also always looking like in the class, we're looking for exercises. I think like when I'm mentioning it positively, I can mention some classes here. We also had like a global team leadership with the professor is half Dutch, which was quite funny because we could talk Dutch to him, and he's like half Finnish as well. So he's talking with a Finnish accent, which I've never heard in Dutch. And what I really like there, for example, we were doing like the exercise in class. He's really trying to engage the class, trying to speak to us. And for me, like the substance of the class, it wasn't hard, but it's still, the class felt good because I'm engaged
in conversation and taking opinions
and doing things like we're recording the videos for examples, just applying what we've learned. And also, like, for example, in the business simulation course, you're really on your own, but you have a really great help in the simulation program. Which I really like. You can and you're in a group, you can ask each other. It also really engaging. And then there are some classes where I'm just sitting there listening. I'm not taking anything in. Because it's just 2.5 hours of
that I really understand that, and I think that's what's a student perspective is that the monologue lectures can be done through YouTube, for example, if you really want to just listen. So I think that's in a very physical settings, it's important to listen, but at the same time to process it, to understand it, and then to communicate and apply it. That can be practically taken away in that sense.
And I think I've definitely had the same issue in the Netherlands. In, for example, the university, it's more you have to. Then it's more like theory. You have to read on your own, and it can be really boring because you're not really applying it yet, which might come at a later date. But where I am now, from the first moment, we are like doing projects. We're developing our own products, just getting dropped in the deep end, and I really like that because you're just finding things out on your own, and when you really need it, you're getting the help you need. But your starting point is just doing things. And I think that's always the greatest. Like if you're also like in life, just in general. I was talking to a friend of mine. He was like a bit stuck. He didn't know what to do because he was he didn't feel motivated for his studies anymore, and he was like what I don't know what to do. And I was like, just do things, just anything. Like find random things to do, like play an instrument. I don't know. Just go to some a random bar or go to some random night where they're doing some activity. Just do things, and you'll find something you really enjoy doing, and you'll find things that are like relating to that.
So your friend was not feeling excited about the learning?
I think, but he was just also like he was just working a job, and he already quit his studies, right? So and he was like, I don't really know where to go from here. I don't know if I should start a new study or if I should just work somewhere else or what should I do? Like
sometimes you're lost, Yeah. But talking about the pedagogies and the in-class understanding between these two cultures, there are two kinds of students in the class. The one who are very kind of want to participate, like they would really have their opinion. And then there are students who really stay quiet and doesn't want to participate and say anything. What kind of student you are? Like, do you want to talk to in the class? And you think that it's good? It's healthy?
Yeah, I think it's normal. It's a normal way to have, like, in a group setting. There's always going to be people who talk more, always going to be people who listen. But it's also important that the people who listen are like still contributing. Trying to they're really listening, not just hearing. And it's also important for the people who are just talking that they give more opportunity to people who are just listening, who are putting themselves a bit back because they think the other needs or wants the spotlight. Like I think in the Netherlands, it's what I've really noticed in difference here is in group work. There's in a lot of countries there's supposed to be a leader. People are really looking up to someone, and where when I'm in the Netherlands, there's obviously like the dynamic of having more quiet, having more talkative people, and my role can change in different groups.
Okay.
Because if there are not many people speaking, I will just take up that role, like speaking a lot more. And if there are like a lot of people speaking, I will just hold back, like speak when I need to speak, when I feel like I have to put my thoughts out. And sometimes people can also talk a bit too much. I think we're like quite a social culture, or like not really social in the South of European way, but just quite
engaging. Let's say.
Engaging, yeah.
And taking responsibilities if needed.
Yeah, I think that is a very big part of it. Everyone has to take responsibility. Everyone is accountable for everything. Basically, as a group, you're really working as a group. There's no hierarchy. There's no person like really leading. And what I've noticed, like here, I think I'm mostly working with exchange students, so it's a lot of different cultures. Like, for example, South Asian cultures, I think they're really looking like for someone to lead.
To lead.
Yeah. And that's a big difference, because I'm expecting everyone to give something, like put in some work into the conversation, like giving their opinion. And when people are only like talking when they're specifically being asked things, it's for me it's kind of like I obviously I'm trying not to assume things, because I know it isn't like that. It's just the cultural difference. And
I think it's a beautiful thing that you're highlighting, that for example, what is my role? Somebody will be asking, like, you tell me my role. Like, why would I tell you your role? I think this is something you can come up and do your part, and I do my part, and we being very collective. And I think it's a learning journey, I would say, with the different cultures.
Yeah, I think for me normally it's really organic when I'm at home. And here it feels like it has to be a bit more structured.
Okay.
As well. Like Finnish people are also not that engaging. You really have to ask them, like, can we do this and this and this? And I remember like last week we were organizing like a presentation, and I'm like, okay, guys, let's see, what slides do we want to do? And I'm expecting people to say like, oh yeah, I worked on this slide, I can work on this, and we talked about this before. But when I'm talking to Finnish people, I really have to ask them directly, like, hey, Finnish, inserts some Finnish name. What
XYZ.
What subjects do you think you like? And I really have to ask them, like, oh, you worked on this. Don't you want to talk about this? Because I think you will have like you can explain it a bit more. And in the Netherlands, obviously, like it's not gonna be like the complete opposite.
Yeah.
But I will just have like I can say like, oh, you worked on this, right? And then I can do this, and then they will explain a bit like, oh yeah, and this
proactive approach is like
that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And here it's a bit more passive.
I think very interesting conversation about the academic journeys and pros and cons and things like that. But every student have a life out of their academic as well. Which is like socialization, hobbies and coming out of your comfort zone. Let's say, what are your hobbies like to make yourself engaged other than studies?
I think it's a bit different here, because at home I wouldn't like really go out that much or like drink that much. Here it's a bit different. I think it's also because I'm with like Dutch people who are a bit different than my friends at home, who are like drinking more. They're a bit more into like the partying stuff. For example, I really like just singing and just doing karaoke, stuff like that. I really like that the culture here is like more accommodating to that than at home. And I just random things. I remember in the first or in the second week, I was just like asking people like, oh, let's do lunch at my place or at your place or something. Just talking to people, having fun conversation, and just anything, like people who ask me anything, and I'm down for it.
How about sports? Do you go out for sports? Do you do some kind of a health, related?
Like at home I'm playing tennis and sometimes football. But here there's not that much opportunity for that, because there was obviously there was not that much opportunity, but there was like snow and stuff. You're not really and it's all either indoors or stuff, or you're having to pay for it all the time.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a barrier for me. But I also started going to the gym a bit with one of my friends here, who taught me some things, which was nice. And well, this month I'm not really going, but at home I'm gonna go again. Like for example, with my sister, and I have friends who are going, so it's really easy to find motivation then.
Very good to know that. Yeah. So you have a very kind of active life back home in that sense.
Well, I wouldn't say very active. But I try to do it like when I can, when people have time, and it's also like just finding
right balance.
Yeah, or finding people who are willing to go like at the same time, and it's combining it with like jobs and stuff like this. So I'm always like down to go with anyone. So I would just ask random or not random people, but just randomly ask people like, can you go now? Or and then some weeks I will go like 3 times a week. Some weeks I won't.
Yeah.
Just but like I'm planning to go to the gym, and then I can just go alone.
Yeah.
Also, and I will just see people I know there. So then I think I will be a bit more structured in going.
Yep.
But I enjoy it, just doing sports in general, I think.
General thing. Okay. How about there's one topic of very important about keeping ourselves in a good shape from the mental well-being, and the increased engagement of the social media and many other digital channels are also kind of creating a void. Sometimes you feel lonely.
True.
Also, how do you deal with keeping yourself in a very good shape, for example, when it comes to mental well-being and also loneliness? Do you feel sometimes?
Yeah, I think as I said, like my internship wasn't that good of an experience because I was traveling to Amsterdam 2 hours from home and then 2 hours back, and so it's like 4 hours for 4 days a week, or 3, 4, 5 days a week. And it could even be more when we're going to like events and stuff, and it was a lot. So I'm not seeing people that much. I'm only seeing like my colleagues there who I'm not like. I had a really great mentor at my internship, which really helped me through it. I could basically talk to her about anything, so that was also a way for me to keep that like the mental sanity a bit, there. But no, I struggled with it because I didn't have that much time to meet up with people. I was really tired all the time, and I really got to catch up here, just on the social things. And I think now I'm like good again. So
back on the track.
I don't need it as much. Like as you said about social media, I think it's definitely a void. I can definitely have days where I'm just like on it all day, just looking. Like I think it's also like sometimes you're just I don't know. I'm not feeling like anything, and I will just make myself feel worse, I think, with it. And it's good that I can, most of the time I can recognize it.
Okay, you can recognize
I can stop. I will just try to do something else. Just text someone, can we like go for a walk? Otherwise I would just go on my own, maybe go to the supermarket, just even when I don't need anything, just walk there, just walk through there a bit, clear my mind. And I think it's also like I'm from a different generation, I think. I don't know how much you struggle with it.
I think it's a very struggling Danek. I think for me as well. Time is getting very, very precious. When you have a lot of things to do, and when you have a family and everything to take care, and then you have a life back home, your parents back home, friends that has been left behind. In my case, for example, if as you ask me, so you kind of fall into the trap of convenience, and that is the convenient way, And I must say that it is, but at the same time, if you start spending more time, you sometimes lose yourself. And I think that is something emerging. If I see myself and if I see new generation, because the new generation is very much openly exposed to such platforms, and how to cope up with those situations, how to manage time, manage your well-being, that is very important. And how you realize it. Not many people realize it, how far you are into it.
Yeah.
So it's something that I think it's very important to realize it. And I think, as you said, that you realize it.
It's really invisible, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had something on my mind. It went completely blank. But I think also the problem is like, for example, I see people, I think we'll talk about this more, but like people are also falling into the same convenience trap with, for example, AI. I see like on social media, I see people there talking to AI like as a friend. And it's really lacking in human connection. Just seeing them like lose themselves a bit. And the problem with talking to stuff like that is it's too easy, and you sometimes do need hard things, because if everything is easy, then you're just empty. Yeah,
very good point. Now that we are talking about AI, the evolution that is taking place, I would say like every another week is something new coming up. We have been reading articles, the jobs are being cut, for example, there's new jobs creation. AI is kind of replacing, or maybe in the process of replacing many things. And there has been a lot of debate and discussion on this topic as well. Now, you have a career to pursue in future, right?
Yeah.
Are you worried about AI or AI taking jobs?
Well, I'm really, I wouldn't say worried, but I'm like a bit uncertain, I think, about it, because we don't really know how it will develop, if it develops positively for like human, I guess. For my job, I think for me it's most important that I'm gaining also experience with it. I don't want to be behind my peers, seeing that they can use it, because it's a very valuable tool. I think also here we are learning a bit how to use it, because it's definitely a bit behind in schools a lot. And what I really it's more a bit politics, I guess. But in the Netherlands, we are there being a lot of decreases in funds for example, education, culture, and stuff.
Okay,
and it's really lacking, because then if stuff like this is advancing, we're just gonna be behind all the time. And for my field, I'm not sure how it will develop. As for example, the AI might be able to develop food products, maybe, and I think it will be really helpful in that. Also with more health in mind, stuff like this. But there's obviously always a practical element to it, which has to be human, I think. And I'm just really interested in how it will shape. Like, food is a really big thing in life.
It is,
and I'm just really interested in what it will do, how it also will impact sales, marketing, because sometimes it can feel really inhuman. Like people are just looking at numbers, right? Service to customers, to stuff like this is really getting like downgraded, and connection also in business relation, in personal relation, is just disappearing a bit, and that's what really scares me.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Are you prepared for having a podcast session with AI?
I think AI can. I will just speak some words. They can replace me. They can use my voice.
Yeah.
I think
I'll just
from one podcast, they might be able to like replicate how I am and my feelings about anything. We will see how.
Yeah.
Your AI and my AI will have a podcast.
Yeah. I think it's completely kind of a different.
Yeah, it
different,
feels a bit
It's
deranged.
very different. Yeah. No, but it's very interesting to know. This is that we as a human still would like to be connected.
Mhm. Yeah,
Without us, we are not us. Then.
social creatures, right?
We are. But that's beautiful. Every person, whenever they grow, or most of the people, let's say not every, but have some kind of inspiration that can come from some personalities, someone in the family, someone in the circle that inspires us, and we would like to somehow adopt a few more things like that. Do you have some inspiration in your life?
I don't. I'm always trying to see like the good things. I'm not really idolizing people. I think it's. Yeah, to me, it's a really bad trait to really idolize people, like having this perfect picture of them in your head. I'm trying to see the good things they have and adopting, or like seeing how they use those good things and seeing if I can adopt those. I think like social things as well, like just empathizing with people. For example, my mom is very good at that, and I'm trying to learn from her how to be better at it. And I think things like that it's really important to try to recognize what things people are doing well, because it always is easier to see negative things. I was in the beginning, you said like name 3 positive things you bring from your culture, and the first thing that comes to my mind is like something that I don't like. But
I have to frame it like that.
Yeah. And it's really important to look for good things, and it's also not to be like overly positive about some things, but it's just being realistic, seeing what people can bring to your life, like not seeing it as like a trait, but seeing it just I can learn something from you, and I want to. So and I think that's like I admire you for this. That's how I see it. And then in that case, I have a lot of idols. I think and just every person I meet is like something they do, something how they think. It can be anything. I really like, for example, about you, that you're like here just to bring people together on the podcast, just also making human connections, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. For me, it's like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really admire it, and I think it's also for me. It's like just seeing how I can connect with people better, thinking of things. I think it's really, it's a really good thing you're doing. And
I think it's I think the very good point that you have pointed out here is like the small steps and small learnings, and which are good. That's collective way of understanding, and shaping your personality in that sense. So you are not that kind of idolizing one single or two single personalities, and you have to be like that, for example, whatever the world other are in position. I think this is very, very fair. That's completely fair.
Yeah.
That's completely understandable. And I think that's a very good thing that that one should have, for example, and every personality might have certain positive things. And as you said, that if we try to be positive, not like over positive, but then rational, let's say in that sense. So those small aspects from each personality could contribute.
Yeah, it could benefit how we see the world.
How we see the world. Yeah, definitely can benefit how we see the world.
Yeah,
I think that's very important, I think.
Yeah, just having a positive outlook. I learned also from someone, like when I did my job after quitting the university, I was working with an older guy who's like a musician and also doing that job like on the side. And I learned like a lot about how to to look at things more. It was like that moment was a bit of the start for me to really like. I think that's also like getting out of teenage years more and really being more self-aware as a person, but just seeing things differently, just having a better outlook on life, trying to it's like bettering myself. I don't think it's the right word, but just really I think trying to be better is always a good thing, and it's not trying to be better for yourself.
Yeah, I think you gave a very, very interesting example from some of your example. Like, I think for me as well, like when I was growing, I was being positioned in a way that the highest academic achievements you do, or you achieve the best it is for you. And I was like, okay, let's go for that. Let's do all the highest degrees, and then there will be a time when you can claim that you have learned everything. But when you move with the life, or let's say I'm in a class, or let's say I'm with my kid, or let's say I'm with any friend, I think that every moment that we live into, that's a learning. That's a learning, learning something that you take away. I don't believe that we would, or like I would achieve a position where I would say like the learning has stopped for me and I know everything. I think every other day or every other person might give you a gift that you might want to apply in the life. And I always tell my student, for example, that I'm here to learn from you as well. So that's a two-way traffic in that sense. Yeah, sorry, you were saying something.
No, like I was just adding on to what you were saying. I think it was really good. And I think it's just when you don't expect to reach something or gain something out of, I think gaining sounds a bit weird because it feels like you're taking something from someone, but just like learning from them. It feels much better than having these expectations already set for you. Like I really want to have the highest education, wise, and it doesn't feel that good when you reach it in the end. It's really about cliches, like really about the journey, right? What other things you learn along the way, what shapes you as a person.
Yeah, I think that's literally an amazing. I think that's a key takeaway. Danek, I think it's an amazing point here. That is a great debating topic, idealizing someone or learning from each person or personalities, for example, those come around you. What is the better approach in that sense? So I think that's very, very good because sometimes we are blind. If we have certain type of opinions.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, always self-reflection is a beautiful tool, I think.
Wonderful. So what are the 3 valuable insights that you would like to position for the future generation?
Wow. Yeah, I think just think about things, right? Have the ability to think about what you did, what someone else did, but also be open to everything. Don't think too much. Don't think something is gonna be negative. Always try to be open and think what you think about it after. Don't live with regrets.
Don't live with regrets.
I think that's a really big thing, and just do things, right? Just like I did my Erasmus because I felt like I just want to go to a foreign country. Just do those things. Like don't think maybe think about it, but still like do those things. Maybe if you don't want to do that, just travel or just meet new people or pick up a new hobby. Just do things. For the third, I think just even when people might not be showing it to you, try to put themselves in your shoes. Just connect with them.
Okay. Well, That's like classic.
Yeah, exactly. I'm doing all sorts of cliches, but, cliches are always true, right? But you just have to live through them before you really realize why they're true, why they're cliche.
Yeah, it is.
That's also a cliche.
Yes. Hey, Danek, it was a pleasure to have you on the Swades Podcast.
Thank you a lot for having me on.
Thank you.